Join me today as I make a wire tree. So you'll need pliers, you'll need wire cutters, anything will do. These things are junky and they still work great. You're going to need some hoops, which I picked up at my local dollar store, and because I couldn't find silver hoops, I am going to go with brass wire to match the brass hoops. So the brass wire I pick up at Home Depot, it's 22 gauge, and in the hardware section where all the picture hanging doodads are. So first step here is to measure your wire. You want to make sure that you leave a good amount of wire above, as you can see, the hoop, because you're going to need that extra space as you're going to twist your tree up. You're going to lose wire. Now you're going to bend that in half and double it. And where that end meets, you're going to clip the wire, and that's going to be your template for all the wire that you're going to cut for this tree. So generally speaking, for a hoop like this, I might cut anywhere from 10 to 12 pieces of wire. This wire is 22 gauge, so I ended up cutting more wire in the end for this. I honestly didn't count, and I just sort of winged it. And you'll see as you go and put the wire on the hoop whether the tree trunk is going to be thick enough for you or not. It's really a personal preference whether you want a small spindly tree or you want a thicker tree. So through the magic of fast forward, I'm going to cut this wire in lightning speed. Once I'm done cutting my wire, I organize it in a pile. I usually try to keep count so that way I don't lose any. You would be surprised. I lose wire and it shows up. And my vacuum cleaner doesn't love picking up wire. All right, to add the wire to the hoop, I take both of the ends on one piece and bring them together, and I find the midpoint and give it a little squeeze, and now I know where to pop it on the hoop so my wire is pretty even, and I wrap it around twice, and then I take my pliers and I give it a little crimp at the end just because I'm a little bit extra, and I like to do that so they lay flat and they're all uniform. From here, I repeat the process until I have all of the wire on the hoops. And because I'm working with brass wire, it is a heck of a lot easier on my hands as it's more malleable. It's also a little bit more delicate, just not quite as delicate as aluminum, but you can accidentally break this off if you overwork it. If you do, don't panic. It's quite all right. You can always add in more wire. I have broken off many pieces of wire in my journeys here making all the trees. And it's easily fixable. And also remember, as you're making these, trees in nature aren't perfect. No two trees are alike, so it is perfectly fine that you have mistakes and everything else in these trees. In my opinion, it makes them more realistic. And honestly, the more you make them, the better you get at them. Now, if you're looking to put crystals on this, or gemstones, or beads, or anything in the end, I will in another video. I have to say, watching the gauge of wire you're using is important, because 19 gauge, I use that. It's iffy. Sometimes some of the stones that I get will not go on 19 gauge wire. So 20 gauge, 22 gauge is kind of like the sweet spot. Pretty much everything will fit on a 22 gauge wire. So here I have all of the wire on, and I'm going to go ahead and twist this into my trunk. And this is the beginning of the tree. I am going to stop and do a part 2 for the shaping because it takes forever and I don't want this to go on and on.